Hello, my name is Amy Sturkey. I am a pediatric physical therapist, and I'm here with a friend of mine, Nathan Todd. And Nathan is someone I treated when I was a young therapist, and somehow he did okay. I found Nathan on social media. He's got quite a social media presence. You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, you can find me, The Loneliness Coach, Instagram. I am The Real Nathan Todd, and I talk about eradicating loneliness and labels all the time. And a big part of that is that I have cerebral palsy, so I know what it's like to be labeled. And I just want to help people peel back the labels so they realize their authentic self.
I love that. I wanted to talk a little bit more about your early life. Tell me, surgeries. What is, because you have cerebral palsy, so that's not uncommon. One of the things that goes along with it, because it's a neuromuscular condition.
Not uncommon at all. So, I mean, the very first surgery I had was a selective dorsal rhizotomy. You might hear SDR for short. And I mean, I think the interesting thing about that one is they cut nerve endings.
So they go into your low back and they stimulate nerve rootlets. And any nerve rootlet that they stimulate that's sensory, if it causes a pattern of stiffness, then they snip it. And they're taking advantage of the overlap of the sensory nerves to be able to know that you'll still be able to have sensation in your lower body, but you don't have as significant a stiffness as you had before. Very weak, though, so you end up with therapy 4 times a week initially. I'm so sorry.
It was a lot.
You putting up with me 4 times a week. Oh, my goodness. But you survived.
Yeah.
All right, so you had surgery. Do you remember it?
So the part I remember about it has nothing to do with the surgery at all. I remember being in the hospital, and it was around Christmas time, and they had a Santa Claus come in, and Santa Claus was like holding all the kids and coming by and saying hello. And all I remember is saying, "I want my dad. I don't care about Santa Claus. I want my dad." So that's what I remember about that. I have a funny story, and I think this, like, regard all the surgeries, because I've had lots of surgeries, but one time I was at a beach with my cousin, and we were doing this youth event for her church back in the day, and one of the girls comes up to me and she said, "What's wrong with your back? What's wrong?" And I'm like freaking out. I'm like, "Sarah, what's wrong with my back?" And so what it was she saw the scar, and she's like, "What happened?" And then, so at some point you forget that these things, like, you've been through these things. So that was my very first surgery. Then I went and had hamstrings done and heel cords. And so that's all about maintaining mobility. I also had work on my eyes done that's related to cerebral palsy. And also had my tonsils taken out, which had an impact on, because of cerebral palsy, I believe, like, the secondary conditions from coming out of the surgery were a little rougher. So that's also something to think about in surgeries.
Right. And then early school life, what was it like going to school and was there other people in your school that had cerebral palsy?
Oh, man. So this is like the craziest story about life. It just so happened that at the time I was going to school, and I was actually held back a little bit for development. So I was going to school with kids that were a year younger than me, but my best friend growing up just happened to have a sister that had cerebral palsy. And that's like, that doesn't happen. Like, wow. That was orchestrated by some higher power than I can describe here. But I did actually know people, and I think that that's rare, because when I moved during middle school, I went and there weren't a lot of kids that I knew that had cerebral palsy specifically. And I definitely, being a child that was born and started school right at the beginning of ADA, like I wasn't seeing a lot of the kids that did have significant disabilities because I wasn't in special ed.
Right.
I was being mainstreamed with all the other kids. So it sometimes can feel like a island a little bit where it's like, oh, where are the kids that really look like me and have things that they're dealing with that are like what I'm going through?
And how did the other kids treat you?
Oh, so there's a big shift that happens in middle school. Elementary school, everybody just treated me like Nathan. And then I think when we get to middle school, there's a thing that happens with labels, and we really start to notice differences,
right,
and want to not be different. So then we have conversations, we get bullied, and it's,
and that happens to everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody escapes that.
Yeah.
But I bet as someone who, it was easier to find a way to pick on you.
Oh.
Or to bully you.
Yeah. So in middle school, you first start switching classes.
Right.
And so that's a challenge when you have motor skill issues,
right,
and you're trying to navigate the hallways.
Right.
So
were you walking independently at that point, or did you have a walker? You were walking
I was walking independently. But one of the things the school made me do was get in an office chair and have another kid push me around in the hallway.
Wow.
So talk about setting yourself apart. Like, who's not going to pick on somebody who's getting rolled in an office chair
right,
down the hallway when you're starting to become a teenager?
Right.
So it was a shift between elementary to middle school. In middle school, I dealt with bullying, and we had just moved. So I'd left my whole social network
wow,
behind. And at first I thought, oh, it won't be a problem. Then you actually get there and it's like, oh, I don't know anybody.
And Nathan, you are so likable. That just makes me crazy that people would give you a hard time.
Oh, well, 6th grade, you wouldn't know that. So what happened was there were bright spots in that period. Like one of my really good friends, back in the day, they would set us 4 desks in a little quadrant. And my buddy, he would always fall asleep in English class. And I don't know, I just liked him. We talked all the time. And one day I was on the curb crying because I was like, yeah, I'm so over this experience.
Right.
And little did I know, his older sister was the person that came up and was talking to me. And I'll never forget that moment at all because she actually saw me for me. But I would tell anybody that's going through that, you have to try and find those people that do see you for you and find ways to spend more time with them.
Yeah, because I always think of that the people who are judging you and being unkind to you, it's almost like, thank you for letting me know you're not the one I want to hang out with. Yeah. It's like an easy way to figure out the good friends and the people who are not there yet.
Yep.
I'm loving this conversation with you, and I see your vulnerability, and I appreciate you being open. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Why don't we talk more later?
Sounds good.
If you liked this video and would like to be notified by email when the next video comes out, click the subscribe button here and click the golden bell icon and ensure notifications are enabled on your account.